Welcome to the Maker's Notebook podcast. And I'm Tracy.
And I'm Stacy.
And today we have a special guest joining us. We have Katiusca from New Jersey. She's a friend of ours. We recently met through our sister Lisa. And
Lisa told us about Katiusca. And she's like, you gotta follow her because she loves the same things you guys like, photography and knitting, crocheting, all that. Just all the stuff. So Katiusca, welcome, and tell us, where we can find you on Instagram and on Ravelry.
Thanks for having me. Yes, I am, on Ravelry, I am Katiusca, which is my first name. And on Instagram, I am BetweenTheseStitches.
Thank you for joining us. We've tried this before. I think last week we recorded and it didn't save our first time using this whole process. So here we go, take 2. And thanks again for being patient with us, Katiusca.
So you want to tell us tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how you got into crafts, a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I've been crafting or at least crocheting since I was 16. And I was taught by my boyfriend's mom at the time. She was making stuff, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. And then ever since then, I've been crocheting. And then I started knitting about 10 years ago, but didn't really fully get into it until a few years ago, where I had the patience to try. And now I sew as well, and 5 billion other activities. So.
I know she's whipping out all the sewing. I'm like, I want to sew too. All the beautiful dresses and stuff like that. Very nice.
Yeah.
So you dove more into knitting recently?
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some of the most recent things you have worked on?
So the last full thing that I finished was my first pair of knitted socks. I'm really excited.
First pair. So what do you think? Are you a convert or still up in the air?
So did you use the DPNs or did you use the magic loop method?
So I actually used both. For one sock I used the DPNs, and for the other one I used the magic loop, and I don't remember which one anymore. But I found that the magic loop was easier than the DPNs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That helped a lot. And I actually had a book in my stash for like 4 or 5 years. Apparently I wanted to knit socks, but never really tried. But you ladies were very encouraging, so here they are. So these are for my daughter, and I cast on a second pair for my son. They'll be the same color because, kids.
Yeah. They're going to love it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear what they think when they put it on this winter.
Yeah, especially when it's cold.
Yeah, when it gets cold because it's still been warm.
Yeah. So I think I know the answer to this, but do you have a favorite between the knitting and the crocheting? Like, do you lean more towards one or the other? Or?
I think crochet is my favorite only because it's fast.
It's fast.
I've been crocheting for so long that it's pretty fast, and I know how most things work, how the stitches work and all that. So knitting has a lot more nuances for me. It's definitely a different language, learning different stitches, and so it's been a process, and I think that's why it took me so long to get into it.
Yeah, we started off crocheting too.
Yeah.
But
all I did was blankets, really. I never really made garments at all.
Yeah. And then I got introduced to Susan B. Anderson, and then it was all the rest is history.
Yeah.
With her toys, I love those toys, like those little giraffes and the sheep and all. Oh yeah, she's just, and her instructions are so good. So tell us, what local yarn store is closer to you, and which ones do you frequent, or that kind of thing? Any recommendations?
Yeah, so New Jersey has tons of nice yarn shops. Most of them are either west, south, or north of me. So to any store, I always have to travel. My two favorite right now are the Yarn Attic, which is in Hillsborough. It's the closest one to me. Mm-hmm. And then the second one is Chelsea Yarns, which is in Red Bank. And that's about 45 minutes or so. But I love Shore Town, so, never excuse to get down to South Jersey.
It's nice down there too, right? I mean, it's very, it has a nice downtown with restaurants. And it's nice.
Yeah, you can make it a day out of it if you go there, because it has, the little shops and the yarn store and cafes and all sorts of stuff.
And Chelsea Yarns I've been to once, and they're really friendly, especially if you say you're friends of the podcast. They're really, really nice.
Yeah, very nice.
So what are you wearing? Tell us all about it.
So this is one of my first knitted tops. It is made out of linen. I bought this yarn a long time ago because every time I go away for my honeymoon, I find a yarn shop. I'm not honeymoon, my anniversary.
I know, I figured that's what you meant. But let's clear that up. It's like, how many times she's going to get married?
So I bought this linen yarn a long time ago, but never really found something to do with it. So I made this top. It's Waters by Untangling Knot.
Okay.
Yeah. So she does every year what's called an outfit along in the summer. So my goal was to make this and a pair of shorts, but it actually took me a year to make the shirt. So I never finished the outfit along, but I did make the shorts, and I ended up finishing this top. But I really love it. I think it's a fingering weight yarn, and I was really proud because I finally actually finished something like a fitted knitted garment.
Right. And I love the color.
Yeah, it's great.
The fit looks good on you. Yeah. And so what are you currently working on?
So right now I'm working on my Odyssey shawl.
Yay, Odyssey!
Yeah. So I'm on the second color. It's 3-color shawl. I'm actually ready to do this section. There's like a lace section, not a lace section, but it has these eyelets and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
What's your third color going to be?
I'm sorry?
What's your third color going to be?
Oh, it is a light green yarn. Here it is. So this has like some gold speckling in it, so it's a lighter green than the original green on it, and then it'll bring in the gold as well.
I'm gonna pull both of them.
And these are actually from Chelsea Yarns.
Ooh, beautiful.
I bet it feels substantial too. I love DK weights. It feels so good. Yeah.
I try not to go below DK. In knitting anyway.
Yeah.
So are you a monogamous knitter and you just have one project going? Or do you have multiples?
I try not to have multiple because then I feel like I'll never get it done. But I do have 2 projects because I started the socks because sometimes I'll just knit something simple at night. Mm-hmm. I don't know if socks were simple, but it felt once I learned the construct of it simple. And then this is what I take with me everywhere I go. So if I'm in the car or kids' games or activities, this is what I'll be knitting.
Yeah, because it's more portable. I think most people tend to do that around with their sock knit.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, I hate carrying multiple bags of things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I think the next thing you were going to show us maybe are the origami. Yeah.
Oh yes. So here's one that I made last year.
So cute.
So this was part of the Amigurumi Advent Calendar that 2 crocheters on Instagram were holding last year. So I bought a pattern and it was like the 25 days of Christmas, basically. Aww. And every day there was like a different thing to make. So this is like just one. Here's like a little stocking.
Aww.
They were really fun. They were like different little things, and then I made a big tree for it to go on.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So I'll have to send you a picture.
Yes.
When I was done, I would hang one up.
Oh,
so it was
cute.
kind of
How long each day would it take you to make? Like the average time. I know each piece would be a different amount of time, but like average, about how long would it take you to make?
I would say at least an hour. Like for example, the little stocking wouldn't take as long.
Yeah.
But for example, this would take me longer.
Right.
So and I tend to sit in spurts of like 45 minutes to an hour, and then get up or have to do something with the kids or whatever. So a lot of the time when I was crocheting, it wasn't always in one shot.
Oh, okay. Oh, so was that cotton yarn you use?
Yes. So this is a cotton yarn that I ended up buying at one of my local yarn shops. I found that cotton yarn, they recommended you use cotton yarn anyway in the patterns, but I found that cotton yarn, better than acrylic, will hold the shape and will not allow it to pill. So it actually will look better for a longer period of time.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Cute. Yeah. So it was relatively inexpensive as well, this cotton yarn that I got at the local yarn shop. So I was very happy with that.
Very nice. And would you be doing something again like that this year, or did they?
Yes, I'm gonna. The same two designers. One of them, her name is Irene Strange, and the other designer, I don't want to butcher her name. They're doing a amigurumi School of Magic, for Halloween, and Halloween is also one of my favorite holidays. So that started on October 1st, but I ordered my yarn. I ended up ordering paint box yarns.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and a cotton DK. So I'm just waiting for that to arrive before I start. But so far, it's really cute what I've seen on Instagram. It has a little broom and a cat. Oh. So, yeah, it's really cute. They try to do, like, different aspects of, like, for example, for Christmas, they did different aspects, bells and cars with a little tree on top. And I'm assuming for Halloween, they'll do pumpkins and cats and brooms and all sorts of fun little things.
Oh, okay. That sounds so cute.
Yeah.
And do your kids, how do they feel about them? Do they love to play with them or look at it?
Oh, yeah. My kids love them, especially my son, the younger one. Yeah. Every time I make him, he wants it for himself.
Sounds like my kids. It's mine.
So for the Christmas one, I had to put it in my bedroom because I was like, this is for mommy.
Cute. So cute.
So are there any festivals you plan to go to? I know Rhinebeck is coming, and then Vogue Knitting and all that stuff. So are you planning to go to any of those?
I hope to go to both of them. I would like to go to Rhinebeck. I'm just not sure what day I would go yet.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the kids' activities. And so sometimes my mother-in-law loves to help, but sometimes I don't want to like burden her with, 5 billion activities, especially because their activities are Friday, Saturday, which is the date that Rhinebeck is going on.
Okay.
So I have to decide, but definitely Vogue Knitting Live. I want to be there as well.
We want to be there as
well. I want to go so bad.
Trying to come up to New Jersey.
I'm trying to make it work out so I can come up because I think one kid is off from school and the other one, I'm not sure if the other one is yet. So tell us real quick, did you go to the New Jersey Wool Festival?
Yes. So New Jersey also has its own Sheep and Wool Fiber Festival, and that was at the beginning of September. And that was actually a lot of fun. That was the first time actually that I went to a festival like that. And it's nice because you get to actually see the sheep. They have different farms who raise the sheep, and they show you what they do with the sheep and how you get your yarn. So there were definitely spinners there as well as weavers. And then of course tons of hand-dyed yarns, and it was a lot of fun. I went with my kids who picked out yarn, tons of it.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
And so they have like
I ended up not buying it for myself.
Well, that's what Rhinebeck and Vogue Knitting is for.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah, there's still a slight delay, but that's okay. We'll try to work with it.
Make it work. Well, we're coming up to Jersey.
To record.
Come up.
So, what do you have planned? I know you're doing the oh man, I can never pronounce it. The origami toys for the. So, what else do you have upcoming as far as knitting or crocheting?
So So I want to make myself some sweaters. One is the Arachne sweater. Again, a Halloween themed sweater. And that is also by Untangling Knots.
Okay.
I really like her. I realized I like fitted clothing more than anything. So her style of sweaters and pullovers and stuff like that tend to be fitted.
Yeah.
So anytime she makes patterns, I really like them. So she came out with a theme for October, which is called Spooky, and it's all related to sort of like Halloween and spooky. So one of the first sweaters is Arachne, and I think I'm going to make that. I was hoping to do it and have it ready for Rhinebeck if I get to Rhinebeck, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I'm a very slow knitter.
Is it a worsted weight or is it DK or what weight is it? The yarn?
I think it's worsted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but Rhinebeck is like 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah, it might be still warm.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, who can knit a sweater in like 2 weeks?
Katiusca can't you? What's your average time to knit a sweater? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Like me, 4 weeks?
Well, the first, other than this, which took me a year, when I did the Comfort Fade carding, it took me about 4 to 5 months. And that was DK.
Oh my God.
You know what? It probably took me that long too. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. But you're doing 100 million things. I mean, as far as not knitting, but you're doing like crocheting and sewing and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm not really committed to one thing.
Yeah, that's us. And I know that you dabble in some photography, and on your Instagram, you have some tutorials, I guess, little short tutorials or tips on photography. How long have you been doing photography?
So photography, I got probably into it around the same time that I started crocheting.
Okay.
So my little brother was born around that time. He's about 14 years younger than me, and he was just the cutest thing ever. So I was like, I must take pictures of him. So I started a little scrapbooking then as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so thanks to me, he has lots of albums and lots of pictures.
So how does he feel about How does he feel about having all those pictures and albums? Does he keep it, or does
he want it at some point? Does he have it?
Well, he has it. I don't know that he remembers who really took them. I'm not sure that he particularly cares, but I did.
That's what we're afraid of with all our memory keeping. That, well, especially for me, my son is going to be like, yeah. You know?
Can you put it on online or something for me? It's probably what they're going to say, right? Whereas with me, I think my girls, one of them is showing interest in keeping them. But I don't know if she's going to change her mind when she grows up, you know? So I'm afraid to end up with all these albums. What am I going to do with them? So
yeah. I mean, I feel the same way, but I started creating like smaller books instead then. Just like a yearly one, like these are just pictures of the year as opposed to the sort of larger keepsake album.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with photography, I got more into it around the time that I got engaged to my husband. Mm-hmm. And around that time, I also had an Etsy shop.
Okay.
So I realized that in order for me to sell my products, I really needed to take better photos.
Mm-hmm.
So I really delved into it, and back then, you know, cell phones and cameras weren't that big deal. So I started getting into DSLRs and learning how they were and like that. So that's really how I got fully into it. So it's been over maybe 12. It's been about like 12 years since I really got into it and to understand it. And I actually ended up working a little bit as a photographer for a few years. So I did some weddings and portraits and all sorts of stuff for a while.
Well, that's right. You did some glamour shots for Lisa that I saw some years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when she told me about you. Yeah. Oh, very nice. Yeah,
and that's really the work I want. Fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. Okay.
Well, you know what? We're not going to keep it too long, only because I noticed the screen is kind of freezing up. When we're so I don't want to like keep going and then so let's just keep it short. Anything else you want to share with us? Or, I know, you know what? I believe am I wrong in thinking this, but you're also an attorney?
Yes, that is true.
So many.
I know, master. What do they say, master? I forget what the saying is.
Saying.
Jack of all trades, master of none, kind of thing. Yeah, so I was a practicing attorney for a long time, and when I had my second daughter, I was actually laid off because of funding cuts, because I worked at a nonprofit, doing work for people who couldn't represent themselves or didn't have the money to do it. And then I decided to stay home. That's when I ended up pursuing more of my photography interests and really diving into that. And that was like a lot of fun. And then my son was born, and that made it harder, I felt, to really, because by that time it was my third child, to really focus on the kids and like a career at the same time. So I just decided I'll just work with the kids, do what they need. And so now they finally started school, and I'm like, oh, now I have time to do all sorts of fun stuff, and let's see where it takes me.
Yes, that's where we are. We're like, sky's the limit, right? There's so many ways you can go about it.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Katiusca, for joining us. I appreciate you putting up with our take twos and
technical issues.
Maybe 2, 3.
No, if there's a 3, we come into Jersey. I need to come there anyway to get that. So anyway, thank you so much, and and we'll see how this one turns out, and then maybe we can have you back on again if it's not. If we can work out the kinks, we'll definitely want to have you on again.
Yeah, there's so many more questions.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.